Good morning, grade 9 students. Welcome to Facebook live streaming in Mathematics 9. We are now on week 5 and the topic is all about proportion and basic proportionality theorem. Make sure you have your learning packets with you, your notebook, and a pen for taking down notes. So let's start. Great. For today's objectives, you must be able to describe proportion and apply the fundamental theorems of proportionality to solve problems involving proportions. Let's start our discussion by having this activity entitled Find My Value. Find the value of the unknown variable of the given mathematical sentence. You just have to click the reactions corresponding to your answers. Are you ready? Great. First, 3n is equal to 27. What would be the value of the unknown variable, which is n? Click like reaction if your answer is 9, heart reaction if your answer is 3, care reaction if your answer is 81. You have 10 seconds to answer. Go! Time is up. If you click like reaction, then you are correct. The value of the variable n is 9. Applying multiplicative inverse, multiply both sides by 1/3. So we have 1/3 times 3n is equal to 27 times 1/3. Then 3n over 3 is equal to 27 over 3. Then we have n is equal to 9. Next item. 2 over x is equal to 1 over 10. Click like reaction if your answer is 10. Heart reaction if your answer is 20. Care reaction if your answer is 30. You have 15 seconds to answer. Go! Time is up. The correct answer is 20. So, if you click the heart reaction, then you are correct. Applying multiplication property of equality, multiply both sides by its LCD. In this case, our LCD is 10x. Multiply both sides of the equation by 10x. Then we will have 10x times 2 over x is equal to 1 over 10 times 10x. Then it will be 20x over x is equal to 10x over 10. So we will have 20 equals x. And by symmetric property, it will be x is equal to 20. Last item. Y over 7 equals 2 over 7. Click like reaction if your answer is 14. Heart reaction if your answer is 7. Care reaction if your answer is 2. You have 15 seconds to answer. Go! Time is up. If you click care reaction, then you are correct. The correct answer is 2. Applying multiplication property of equality, multiply both sides of the equation by its LCD. In this case, our LCD is 7. So, multiply 7 to both sides of the equation. So, we have 7 times y over 7 equals 2 over 7 times 7. Then we will have 7y over 7 equals 2 over 1 times 7 over 7. And 7 over 7 is automatically 1. That's why we have y equals 2. Good job, students! The knowledge and skills will help you in understanding proportion and the theorems related to it. As stated in your ADM, proportion is the equality of the two ratios. In symbols, A is to B equals C is to D, or A is to B equals C is to D, where B is not equal to 0 and D is not equal to 0. The given proportion is read as A is to B as C is to D. Each quantity in a proportion is called a term. In the proportion A is to B as C is to D, the quantities A, B, C, and D are called terms. A, which is the first term, and D, which is the last term, are the extremes, while B, which is the second term, and C, which is the third term, are the means. In fraction form, the opposite terms A and D are the extremes, while term B and term C are the means. When solving problems involving proportion, the fundamental law of proportion is applied, which states that the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. If the product are the same, then the two ratios form a proportion. Let's have these examples. For the given proportion, let's determine the product of the means and the product of extremes. We have A is to 20 as 4 is to 10. Here, the extremes are 8 and 10, or simply the first term and the last term. On the other hand, the means are the second term and the third term, which are 20 and 4. So let's multiply the extremes. 8 times 10 is equal to 80. And for the means, 20 times 4 is equal to 80. As you can see, the products are equal. Therefore, they are proportional. Can you still follow? Alright, let's test your understanding if the given pair of ratios are proportional or not proportional. Click like if it is proportional, and click heart if it is not proportional. Number 1. 2 is to 9 as 10 is to 45. Is it proportional or not? Click like if it is proportional, and heart if it is not proportional. Go. Exactly, this is a proportional. So multiply the extremes, which are 2 and 45, and it will give you 90. Multiply the means, which are 9 and 10, it will give you 90 as well. They are both equal, therefore, they are proportional. Next, 3 is to 2 as 9 is to 6. Click like reaction if it is proportional, and heart reaction if it is not proportional. Alright, if you click like reaction, then you are correct because this is a proportion. Multiply the extremes, which are 3 and 6, and it will give you 18. Multiply the means, which are 2 and 9, and it will give you 18 as well. They are both equal. Therefore, they are proportional. Lastly, 3:4 as 1:8. Click like reaction if it is proportional, or heart reaction if it is not proportional. Go. The answer is not proportional because they are not proportional. Multiply the extremes, which are 3 and 8, and it will give you 24. Multiply the means, which are 4 and 1, and it will give you 4. They are not equal, therefore they are not proportional. Now that you already know how to determine if the two ratios are proportional, let's proceed to another way on finding the missing term in a proportion. Just like in our first activity, we were asked to find the value of the unknown variable, but we used multiplication property or equality or multiplicative inverse. As stated in your ADM, we can also use cross product or cross multiplication property to find the missing term in a proportion. Let's try this example. Solve for the value of x in the proportion 6:8 as 12:x. Applying the cross multiplication property, multiply the means, which are 12 and 8, and multiply the extremes, which are 6 and x. So 6 times x is equal to 12 times 8. 6 times x is equal to 6x. Then 12 times 8 is equal to 96. Applying multiplicative inverse, multiply both sides of the equation by 1/6. So we will have 1/6 times 6x is equal to 96 times 1/6. It will be 6x over 6 is equal to 96 over 6. Then we will have x is equal to 16. Hence, the value of x, which is the missing term, is 16. Next, find the missing term in the proportion 4/a equals 20/25. Applying the cross multiplication property, multiply the means, which are 20 and a, and multiply the extremes, which are 4 and 25. So 4 times 25 equals 100, and 20 times a equals 28. It will be 100 equals 28. Using multiplicative inverse, multiply both sides of the equation by 1/20. We will have 1/20 times 100 equals 28 times 1/20. And it will be 100/20 equals 28/20. This gives us 5 equals 8. And by symmetric property, it will be a equals 5. Hence, the missing term in the given proportion is 5. Can you still follow? Kindly click like reaction if you can. Alright, how about if we have this kind of problem? A frame is 9 inches wide and 6 inches tall. If it is reduced to a width of 3 inches, then how tall will it be? So what are the two quantities present? Yes, we have the width and the height. Therefore, we can have the ratio of width over height. Substitute the given. So the first width is 9. Then the first height is 6. The second width is 3. And the missing term is the second height, which can be represented as x. Applying cross multiplication property, multiply the extremes, which are 9 and x. x, and this will give you 9x. Multiply the means, which are 6 and 3, and it will give you 18. So we have 9x equals 18. Applying multiplicative inverse, multiply both sides of the equation by 1 over 9. So we'll have 1 over 9 times 9x is equal to 18 times 1 over 9. 9x over 9 equals 18 over 9. This gives us x is equal to 2. Hence, if the width is reduced to 3 inches, then the height is 2 inches. Here is another problem. In a sports meet, groups of boys and girls are to be formed. Each group consists of 6 boys and 7 girls. How many boys are required if 84 girls are available for such groupings? What are the two quantities present? Yes, we have the number of boys and the number of girls. We can have the ratio of number of boys to number of girls. Substitute the given. So the first number of boys is 6. Then the first number of girls is 7. The second number of boys is the missing term, which can be represented as x. And the second number of girls is 84. Applying cross multiplication property, multiply the extremes, which are 6 and 84, and this will give you 504. Multiply the means, which are x and 7, and it will give you 7x. So we have 504 equals 7x. Applying multiplicative inverse, multiply both sides of the equation by 1 over 7. So we will have 1 over 7 times 504 equals 7x times 1 over 7. Then it will be 504 over 7 equals 7x over 7. This gives us 72 equals x. And applying symmetric property, it will be x equals 72. Hence, the number of boys is 72 if the number of girls is 84. Did you understand? I hope so. As additional information, there are properties of proportion that can be used to solve for the value of the variable aside from the fundamental law of proportion. We have the alternation property, inverse property, addition property, and subtraction property. Let's have these examples and apply other properties to check if we will come up with the same answer. Find the value of x in the proportion 14 is to x as 2 is to 10. First, let's apply our cross multiplication property. Multiply the extremes, which are 14 and 10, and it will give you 140. Multiply the means, which are 2 and 6.
X.
It will give you 2x. We have
140
equals 2x. Applying multiplicative inverse, multiply both sides of the equation by 1/2. So 1/2 times 140 equals 2x times 1/2. Then it will be 140 divided by 2 equals 2x divided by 2. Then we'll have 70 equals x. Applying symmetric property, it will be x equals 70. So, by cross multiplication property, we get the value of x, which is 70. Let's try to apply alternation property to check if we will get x is equal to 70 as the missing term. So in alternation property, the opposite terms of a proportion can be interchanged. So if A is to B equals C is to D, then A is to C equals B is to D, where A, B, C, and D are not equal to 0. It can also equivalent to D is to B as C is to A, or A, B, C, and D are not equal to 0. In our given, 14 is to X as 2 is to 10, we can interchange the extremes, or we can interchange the means. In this case, let's interchange the extremes. It will be 10 is to X as 2 is to 14. Applying cross multiplication, multiply the extremes 10 and 14, it will give you 140. Multiply the means 2 and X, it will give you 2X. We have 140 equals 2X. Applying multiplicative inverse, multiply both sides of the equation by 1/2. So we have 1/2 times 140 equals 2X times 1/2. Then it will be 140 over 2 equals 2X over 2. Then it gives us 70 equals X. Applying symmetric property, it will be X is equal to 70. As you can see, we got the same answer, which is 70, applying alternation property. Let's try the inverse property. In here, the terms in a proportion can be inverted. When we say inverted, if A is to B as C is to D, then B is to A as D is to C, where A, B, C, and D are not equal to 0. Given 14 is to X as 2 is to 10 again, let the terms be inverted. So it will be X is to 14 as 10 is to 2. Multiply the means X and 2, it will give you 2X. Multiply the extremes, which are 10 and 14, it will give you 140. We have 2X equals 140. Applying multiplicative inverse, multiply both sides of the equation by 1/2. So we have 1/2 times 2X equals 140 times 1/2. Then 2X over 2 equals 140 over 2. This gives us X is equal to 70. We also got the same answer using inverse property. And for addition and subtraction property, I want you to try it if you will get the same answer. Alright? Let's proceed to fundamental theorem of proportionality. The fundamental theorem of proportionality, or basic proportionality theorem, states that if a line is drawn parallel to one side of a triangle and intersects the other two sides in distinct points, then it divides the two sides proportionally. For example, in triangle ABC, if XY are points on AB and AC respectively, such that XY is parallel to BC, then AX is to XB, as to AY is to YC. Let's apply it using this example. In triangle DEF, segment LM is parallel to segment EF. Find segment DF. Since LM is parallel to EF, we can apply the fundamental theorem of proportionality. We can have DL is to LE as DM is to MF. DL is 9, L is 2, DM is N, and MF is 6. Multiply the extremes, which are 9 and 6, it will give you 54. Multiply the means, which are 2 and n, it will give you 2n. We have 2n equals 54. Apply a multiplicative inverse. Multiply both sides of the equation by 1/2. So we have 1/2 times 2n equals 54 times 1/2. Then it will be 2n over 2 equals 54 over 2. This gives us n equals 27. So the length of DM is 27. I hope you understand the concept of proportion and applying fundamental theorem of proportionality in solving problems involving proportions. To sum it up, a proportion is a mathematical statement that states that two ratios are equal. Each quantity in a proportion is called a term. In a proportion written in column form, the inner terms are called the means, and the outer terms are called the extremes. The fundamental law of proportion states that in a proportion, the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. From the fundamental law of proportion, other properties of proportion can be derived, which can be used to find the missing value in a proportion. The fundamental theorem of proportionality, or basic proportionality theorem, states that if a line is drawn parallel to one side of a triangle and intersects the other two sides in distinct points, then it divides the two sides proportionally. This time around, I will entertain and try to answer your queries. Comment them in the chat box below. You have a minute to do that. Go! Alright, we have question here already. Okay. Alright. In alternation property, if we will be going to simultaneously interchange the terms in proportion, can we still get the same answer? Yes. You can still get the same answer even if you will interchange both the extremes and the means. Alright. Okay. There are no more questions posted. If you have queries that were not addressed earlier, you may ask your respective teacher and he or she will discuss it on your follow-up discussions. Moreover, I want you to answer what's more, try this and keep trying, on page 19 to 20 of your module to be checked by your class discussion teacher. For our points to ponder, let me share this quote from Dennis Waitley. The results you achieve will be in direct proportion to the effort you apply. It's not about perfection, it's about effort. And when you bring that effort every single day, that's where transformation happens. That's how change occurs. Of course, if you put more effort to a certain task, then you will be more successful. Likewise, if you exert less effort, then you may fail. Thank you so much for your participation and time. Once again, happy learning and always stay safe.